Have you recently had an episode of hives? Let's talk about some things you should know. Hives will happen in up to 20% of the population at some point in their lives. Hives are characterized by red, swollen, itchy areas of the skin that are caused by histamine release. I was inspired to make this video because I actually broke out in an episode of hives a few weeks ago myself, and I had to go through this exercise of trying to figure out what was the cause. First of all, if you're having hives and you have any other associated symptoms like eyelid swelling, lip swelling, throat or chest tightness, shortness of breath, or even belly symptoms, you may be having an episode of anaphylaxis, which is a medical emergency. Potential causes for hives are broad and range from things like bacterial or viral illnesses to new medications like antibiotics to supplements to even foods like shellfish, tree nuts, or peanuts. Even things like NSAIDs, which are the category of medications that include things like ibuprofen and naproxen, and also aspirin can be causative. Some patients will also develop hives in areas where there's pressure on the skin or where they scratch the skin. So you might scratch the skin and then develop lines of hives on the skin in the areas that were scratched, and that is a condition called dermatographism, which can be seen in up to 5% of the population. We typically recommend treating hives with non-sedating antihistamines, things like loratadine, cetirizine, or fexofenadine to start, and if that doesn't work, then we may need to increase the dose or add other medications on top of that. We typically don't need to do an extensive workup for somebody whose hives have been going on for less than 6 weeks. Those are considered acute hives. If your hives go on longer than 6 weeks, there may be some lab tests and other workup that is warranted. Hives do tend to resolve in about 2/3 of patients, which means that there is a third where they persist for longer than that. Just to let you know about my personal experience with the hives that I had a few weeks ago, which have now resolved, I ultimately came to the conclusion that they were stress-induced. I went through the exercise of thinking about new medications, supplements, dietary changes, recent illnesses, and all of that, and came up short. The only thing that had changed really was that I was under a lot of stress because I had posted a TikTok video that was getting a lot of views as well as comments, both good and bad. So it caused a significant amount of stress, and I think that that ultimately was the trigger in my case. So let me know if you have any questions about hives.